What's up, everybody? So, for today's video, we're going to be reacting to uh, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 trailer breakdown, Easter eggs, and details you missed. If you guys don't know um, who I'm watching, I'm watching the new Rockstars. I've actually been watching them for a little bit now. Yeah, man. We better get into this shit, man. I think the last breakdown videos I reacted to was Rick and Morty episodes. But anyways, man, you guys like my reaction, give this video a thumbs up. And fuck yeah, man. Let's just get into this shizzle, bro. Three, two, one, boom.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Boss, and this is a breakdown of the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And it's really hard to know where to start crying first. And Rocket's backstory or the countless possible deaths that are going to happen in this movie. Let's break down this trailer frame by frame for everything that you might have missed. And hey, if you happen to be in the LA area this weekend, New Rockstars will be at LA Comic-Con on Sunday, December 4th at 10:30 a.m. doing a panel. We really hope to see you there. We would love to chat in person about who's going to die in this movie. And thanks to Boxsuit for sponsoring this video. More on their tasty offerings later. Let's get started.
We were gone for quite a while. But no matter what happens next, the galaxy still needs its guardians.
Okay, the Marvel Studios title card cross-dissolves into Peter Quill's tape deck, the letters bearing the stripes of the labels of the past awesome mixtapes that Peter's mother, Meredith Quill, left him. Remember, the second of which was destroyed along with Peter's Walkman by Ego in Guardians Volume 2. The tape deck of the ship is still okay, though. At least we think it is. Their ship, by the way, is now the Bowie, which we learned of in the Guardians Holiday Special. The Bowie is a 3-story ship that replaces the Benatar, which was their ship in Infinity War, Endgame, and Thor Love and Thunder, and that replaced their original first ship of the Milano. Bowie is an appropriate name for the ship. David Bowie's Moon Age Daydream did play in that Awesome Mix Volume 1 as the Guardians first arrived into Nowhere in the 2014 film, and Nowhere, by the way, is now their home base after they bought it from the Collector. But over the tape deck here, the needle flips back and forth and particles float in front of the logo. Maybe dust or snow, not really sure, but it makes me really worried that the ship's inside could have been exposed to the zero gravity of space. Would that sound needle still work if there's no sound in space? I mean, can we test this, please? But don't send a dog to do it. R.I.P. Laika. Peter mans the bridge of the Bowie. No one else in the seats, and he and the other Guardians wear new uniforms in this movie, inspired by the blue and red uniforms from the Abnett and Lanning era of the comics. It's somewhat reminiscent of the Nova Corps uniform. The Nova Corps would likely still be in shambles after Thanos wrecked Xandar to get the Power Stone, so the Guardians really have taken on the role of galactic first responders. Some might say guardians of it. The Bowie soars into this planet that at first looks like New York of Earth, but it totally is not. There's something that looks like the Statue of Liberty front and center there, but Liberty Island doesn't really face in that direction. The terrain is all different. The cityscape behind it is 100% not Manhattan. New York and New Jersey also don't have hills like that in the visible distance. There is an island on the left with some shipping cranes and a cruise liner. There's a few triangular structures along the water that remind me a lot of the Sydney Opera House when you look at it from that angle. I think what we are looking at here is a replica Earth, a combination of two Marvel settings. One, the High Evolutionaries counter Earth from the comics. This is a purer version of the original Earth that Herbert Wyndham places a microsecond out-of-dimensional sink to hide it from Earth. I know, awesome. But I think we're also looking at a version of
Pure version
that
of
is
Earth.
Rocket's origin planet listed on its Xandar booking screen in the 2014 film. So I think that High Evolutionary created this place as a home for his creations. The new men in the comics are humanoid, animalistic, bipedal hybrids. So really, when we get closer to that Statue of Liberty, I suspect it's going to be a Planet of the Apes scenario. Not the 60s Charlton Heston Statue of Liberty, but really the 2000 Tim Burton Lincoln Memorial, and that statue's going to have an animalistic face. Or who knows, maybe Herbert Wyndham fashions himself a Kang and makes a huge statue of himself. But yes, the High Evolutionary. Who is he? He is Herbert Wyndham. He's going to be played in this movie by actor Chiwetel Ejiofor. In the comics, the High Evolutionary is an associate of Mr. Sinister, Nathaniel Essex, an X-Men villain. But Wyndham is Marvel's ultimate geneticist. He's known for experimenting on various life forms, and he breeds these animal-human hybrids that he calls the New Men. And I think this is what Rocket and his old girlfriend Lila will be revealed to be in the MCU. The Bowie ship's colors match the colors of the Guardians' uniforms, and it lands right in the middle of the suburb, barely missing.
Wait. Look at this
statue
shit.
of himself. But yes, the High Evolutionary. Who is he? He is Herbert Wyndham, experimenting on various life forms, and he breeds these animal-human hybrids that he calls the New Men. And I think this is what Rocket and his old girlfriend Lila will be revealed to be in the.
Look, she got a robot hand, bro. She got a robot hand.
and his old girlfriend Lila will be revealed
Look, she got a robot hand, bro. What the fuck?
to be in the MCU. The Bowie ship's colors match the colors of the Guardians' uniforms, and it lands right in the middle of the suburb, barely missing crushing a few houses, though definitely ruining a few lawns there. Notice, though, that all the cars and clothes are from the 1980s. The 80s aesthetic will be a big thing in this movie. Peter Quill was abducted in the year 1988, so all of his interests are stuck in the 80s. Also, James Gunn has said that his Awesome Mix Volume 3 has already been decided, and it's mostly going to be 80s songs. He's known for writing track lists actually into his scripts, because usually all of his songs have a diegetic role in the narrative. So why the 80s? Well, I wonder if Wyndham's move to create the New Men and Counter-Earth / Half-World could have come out of a survivalist panic that many felt in the 1980s during that Cold War brinkmanship, when everyone was super anxious that the world was going to nuke itself. So maybe in that panic, a super brilliant but always overthinking things Herbie was like, fine, damn yourselves all to hell, I'll build another Earth and I'll populate it with my animal people. And the 80s will live on forever. On to the next section.
Hello, we come in peace.
Oh!
Come on, Drax. Seriously, dude?
Okay, as the Guardians deboard the Boeing, notice it's just Peter, Mantis, Nebula, Drax, and Swole Groot. No Gamora yet, and no Rocket. I think they have come here looking for Rocket, who maybe went looking for his home world and his old friends. The locals are all suspicious. One is carrying a fly swatter. Really, the longer you look at these guys, the freakier they get. Like, the postal worker looks like a bird, maybe a peacock, but has 5 humanoid fingers that are talon claws. Ugh. I also just like the idea in this world, mail still might be delivered by birds, even birds that don't fly because they don't have wings, but they still just walk and drive around. The guy who shouts at him is a rabbit whose ears are now drooped down like long hair of a professor. And behind him, there's another bird-beaked man, but with hair like the Muppet Bert. There's also a panda in a polo shirt tucked into jeans. Jeans held up by a belt. I hope that belt isn't made of leather. Now, that street sign has some alien language on it. It's kind of hard to make out, but it's another indicator that this isn't like an alternate reality Earth. This is another planet that was created to be an alien world. Like, notice how they all speak in another language.
No!
Drax pegs this poor kid with a kickball. That sound is really seared in my memory from all my years playing gym dodgeball. Really, I'm less worried about the ball hitting her face than I am by that girl's head hitting the pavement. No, no, no! The Guardians all get pelted, and Drax's reaction is surprising considering bullets tickled him in the Guardians Holiday Special. Also, notice how Swole Groot doesn't duck or cover at all, even when a rock hits him right in the head. Moving on.
Don't forget where we came from.
Okay, the music in this trailer is Space Hogs in the Meantime from 1995. It's a glam rock hit from their album Resident Alien. They were heavily influenced by David Bowie. Actually, that loop at the beginning was influenced by the dial tone one would hear when you make a call from the US to the UK and you get a cross line. The lead singer said it's the sound of a phone ringing and being engaged at the same time. The lead singer, Royston Langdon, said that loop at the beginning was
Dad, where we came from.
Okay, the music in this trailer is Space Hogs in the Meantime from 1995.
In the
It's a
Meantime.
glam rock hit from their album Resident Alien. They were heavily influenced by David Bowie. Actually, that loop at the beginning was influenced by the dial tone one would hear when you make a call from the US to the UK and you get a cross line. The lead singer said it's the sound of a phone ringing and being engaged at the same time. The lead singer, Royston Langdon, said that this song in general is him trying to reach people, find an end to isolation. It reminds us a lot of Rocket in this movie, someone who is desperate to reconnect to his roots, but the timing just not really connecting. We see that Peter has his headphones in. Remember, since Ego destroyed his Walkman, I assume this is the Zune that Yondu left him at the end of Volume 2, and all the music we hear in this movie is going to be messages from Yondu. Mantis says, don't forget about where we came from, and we learned in the holiday special that Mantis is Peter's half-sister, both of them children of Ego, who is a Celestial. This ancestry will likely play a big role in the story. What does it mean for them to have Celestial DNA, especially now that we know more about Celestials after the Eternals film? Why did that DNA pass on to Peter, and Peter was able to activate it, while so many other of Ego's offspring died? Also, a reminder to everyone that James Gunn's long-lost hidden Easter egg from the Guardians movies is still undiscovered, but likely has something to do with Meredith Quill and all those location coordinates that we see throughout the films. James Gunn has said over the years that new Rockstars and MT, who was really the pioneer of trying to decode this stuff, and various others online have gotten close to uncovering it fully, but not all the way yet. Ultimately, I think it's going to be all about Meredith Quill, and what about her DNA made Peter Quill so uniquely successful to carry the Celestial DNA from Ego? And I think Mantis, as the external hard drive of all of Ego's guilt, might know more about that secret from Meredith, because Ego was the one who gave Meredith Quill that brain tumor. So we see baby Rocket in a cage as a hand reaches out to grab him. If you look closely, Rocket is not alone in that cage. Could these other fuzzballs include Lila? Could Rocket have siblings that he doesn't know about? I assume this is a hand of Herbert Wyndham before Herbert cybernetically experiments on Rocket to give him intelligence. This matches the footage from the Comic-Con trailer that showed a close-up of a pen writing 89P13, which was the number on Rocket's booking screen on Xandar in the first film. We see 5 Guardians floating out into space wearing multicolored spacesuits looking like those from the Among Us game. Now in reality, these are actually a nod to the red, yellow, and blue spacesuits in 2001: A Space Odyssey, one of 2 references to Kubrick's classic in this trailer. You could also say we got 5 out of 6 Infinity Stone colors here, minus a purple one for the Power Stone. Later we see that it's Peter in the yellow suit, Mind Stone, Mantis in the orange suit, Soul Stone, Drax in the red suit, Reality Stone, and then Nebula and Gamora are in the green and blue suits, so, you know, time and space. I don't know if there's any connection there, but Groot is not with them here. In the later shot, we can see that Mantis' arm has a strip with 6 rainbow colors on it. Really, what is this massive fleshy structure that they're leaping down onto? We get a better look at it later throughout the trailer. You can see this flesh has hairs poking out of it as they jump across it. I speculate that this could be spinal or nerve tissue from the rest of Nowhere's body. That ringed hole with the construction lining it could actually be Nowhere's eye socket optical nerve upon getting torn out before or maybe even after he was beheaded. The Guardians travel all over the galaxy, and that takes fuel. I also run on fuel, but that fuel is snacks. But not just any snacks. I'm spoiled now and need Boxu. Boxu is my favorite Japanese snack subscription box. They start a reminder of his years with the original 616 Gamora. We know like
Our whole lives.
Pete, I'm done running.
Gamora looks at a Polaroid, not sure what of yet. Maybe something Peter gave her to chart a reminder of his years with the original 616 Gamora. We know from the Comic-Con footage that Gamora will be leading a side group of Ravagers. The Guardians march through the streets of Nowhere. That's the same set that we saw in the Guardians Holiday Special. From the right, that's Mantis, Drax, Rocket is sipping something, and then Nebula is carrying Peter. Then we see Groot and Kraglin and Cosmo the Space Dog. Now, Cosmo was reintroduced in the Holiday Special, first seen as one of the collector's items in the 2014 film. Cosmo is based on Laika, the poor Russian space dog, thus the Soviet letters on their spacesuit. In the comics, Cosmo has telepathic and telekinetic powers. We saw a little bit of that in the Holiday Special, but the dog now has a voice collar that's voiced by actress Maria Bakalova. That was the actress in Borat 2. Gunn has suggested that Cosmo is closest to Kraglin of the Guardians, and Kraglin did say in the Holiday Special that he learned about what Christmas was from Cosmo, who learned it from Rocket. So why is Peter incapacitated here? Maybe he drank himself into a stupor after being rejected by Gamora. Nebula is the one carrying him, not Drax, not Groot. So Nebula's got some impressive strength. James Gunn has suggested that Nebula is now more of an authority figure of Nowhere. Remember that she and Rocket are older than the rest of them because Nebula and Rocket survived the blip and lived all during those 5 years. Rocket loads up his gun in this fire-stricken location. The right of him, that is Gamora's hand, so she has joined up with them at this point. There's also this other 4-legged creature on the ground in the background on the right. We see that same thing trotting behind all of them in this later shot in this trailer. Reminds me a lot of Morris from Shang-Chi, but remember Morris had 6 legs, so I don't know. This could just be another one of Wyndham's lab experiments we all fall in love with and buy plush toys of. We see Herbert Wyndham, nigh evolutionary, as this woman jogs in a ring around him, reminding us of that jogging scene in 2001: A Space Odyssey. Wyndham's citadel is dark, sleek, menacing, reminding us of He Who Remains Citadel in Loki, but without all those kintsugi crack patterns. Gamora and Mantis help Drax, who's been shot in the chest, as Peter holds Nebula behind them. I assume this is the bright white interior of the glowing white inside of that fleshy structure that we saw earlier. Notice how similar pink matter is covering the surfaces inside of here. Peter holds some spherical object. I don't really know what it is or what the hell is going on in all these shots, but there are people in other similar suits floating around them, but their suits have a lot more nodes on their limbs and on their backs than the Guardians suits did. Then the shot of the Bowie crashing through this barrier. Now compared to the shots that we've seen of ships jumping through the hexagonal UNTN in the MCU, this looks far more chaotic. Like either the UNTN didn't open properly for them, or they met some barrier that they had to force their way through. If we are looking at Counter-Earth, this could be them forcing their way through some dimensional rift. Okay, Rocket is in rough shape. He's lying on this grate that's covered in debris. There are new scars on his face revealing the cybernetic layers beneath, and he says, "We'll all fly away together one last time into the forever and beautiful sky." Oh my god. Many are speculating that Rocket will die in this movie. And I guess that's possible. I just think that would be too obvious of a conclusion to draw from this trailer. Like, if they want that to be a surprise, they're doing a really bad job hiding it. But I don't know if we were looking at his death scene here. Like, notice how how Rocket does not seem to be wearing anything here, and other than when he was brought into the Kiln prison, Rocket is almost always wearing clothes. So I think what we could be looking at here is a flashback to Rocket's earlier days when he was Wyndham's lab experiment. He's either lying on the base of his cage here, or he's in the process of an escape attempt. Either way, talking to someone like Lila across the bars, trying to instill hope in her and all the other hybrids that they might be able to escape together someday. I think Rocket, up until this point, thought he might have been the last of his kind, but in this movie he's going to realize that that's not the case. Then Peter tackles someone out of a window. This structure is high above the ground with a red Lego brick looking facade. The person he tackles wears white boots and a white trench coat, and other people dressed this way lie nearby on the ground. They're all bald with cybernetic implant heads like what Nebula has, but with yellowish skin. The sky and ground below actually match the terrain of that maybe Counter-Earth, maybe Half-World location that we talked about before. I think this is a High Evolutionary's castle or exploding base, and these white dressed people are the Enclave. The Enclave in the comics is the cult of scientists who create Adam Warlock, and I think in this movie the Enclave will be the ones who supplied Aisha with Adam Warlock's cocoon. In the comics, Adam Warlock leaves the Enclave, he flies into space, and he runs into the High Evolutionary, who gives him the name Warlock. And after that, he meets the Universal Church of Truth, who worship him. But I think this group here is the Enclave, and in this movie, they're going to be Wyndham's group of genetic scientists. In Volume 2, Yondu referred to the scientists that made Rocket. I think these are the scientists. Also, I think there's a parallel here with Wyndham's look. Wyndham is also bald and has cybernetic plugs in the back of his head. I think this movie's just going to simplify everything to have Adam Warlock be a creation of Herbert Wyndham, who leads the Enclave. And by the way, though we do not see them in this trailer, both Elizabeth Debicki and Sylvester Stallone are credited among the cast at the end of the trailer, so we can expect to see both Aisha and Stakar Ogord, who remember is the leader of the Ravagers. Quill and Groot flee the crashing Bowie ship. Nebula cheers in a celebration among the other refugees of nowhere. Then Herbert Wyndham looks bitterly disappointed in that same hangar bay that we saw the Guardians in before, the one that was on fire. Debris flies around him, looking a lot like the dust that appeared over the Marvel Studios logo in the opening shot. Then a close-up of a drop of blood, and then Peter wails in agony over what I assume is an operating table with a breathing tube, someone dying in front of him. So who dies in this movie? If the blood drop is from this scene, it's probably not Groot here, because you know Groot doesn't really bleed like we do. Also, we already got a Groot death in the first movie. So yeah, we could be looking at Rocket. I just don't think that earlier shot is from its death scene specifically. But it could be someone else. Like, notice this shot. Rocket is hugging this trash otter. This is Lila, Rocket's companion, who is listed on his Xandar booking screen in the 2014 film. In the comics, Lila is Rocket's soulmate from Half-World and the heiress to a toy company. But notice here she has cybernetic paws, really a clamp
See, I knew
on
it.
each hand. But in the shot where he hugs her, Rocket again is not wearing clothes. His head is a bit smaller. Behind them in this location are a bunch of other cages. So yeah, this is a flashback, probably the moment they escaped and when they parted ways. So will Lila reunite with Rocket in the present? Did she make it? Also, who do we think will voice Lila? Maybe Daniela Melchior, who has been confirmed to play some small unknown role in this movie and did work with James Gunn on the Suicide Squad. She played Ratcatcher 2. Others have wondered Lady Gaga, since she did play Bradley Cooper's lover in A Star Is Born. I don't know about that. But really, that one shot of the blood dropping, what is it dropping from? Is that a hook? Is that the edge of Lila's hand clamp? Just think about it, the saddest option for who could die in the scene with Quill screaming could just be Lila. And all of them are sad because they know how important Lila is to Rocket. Mantis, Nebula, and Drax run into an obelisk. Remember, these were the interdimensional squid monsters that they fought for the Sovereign at the beginning of Volume 2. And then we get our first look at Will Poulter as Adam Warlock. He has a bolt in his forehead, a nod to Adam Warlock in the comics having one of the Infinity Stones, the Soul Stone, in his forehead, a trait that the MCU instead gave to Vision with the Mind Stone. Poulter has described Adam Warlock as a character with a newborn infantile mind, while Vision mentioned ironically, Adam really was born yesterday, and he shows it. He gives Nebula the Scott Farkas treatment. Nebula appears to be wearing some kind of chainmail armor that covers her arm. You can see that catwalk bridge of nowhere in the background. Seems like Adam has tracked the Guardians down to nowhere. Mantis sobs in a location with the same lighting as the place where Peter cries. Remember, she is an emotional empath. Her sorrow is likely to be heightened in this moment as she's going to be feeling the grief of all the survivors here, along with her own grief. Rocket is seen in a white glowing realm that looks like an ethereal version of that cage-filled lab. You can see the outline of the cages behind him. He's once again not wearing clothes, and his cybernetic bolts are visible on his chest. So maybe Rocket is flatlined or he's close to death, and his mind is transporting him back to the place where he met Lila. And speaking of characters dying, Swole Groot says, "We are Groot," which his father, OG Groot, only said as his final words when he gave up his life. All other times, Groot just makes the sound, "I am Groot," with subtle vocal and tonal variances on that, which is where the different words come in. Peter and Groot are in a shootout with those Enclave folks and their soldiers. I think this shot is coming right before Peter tackles one of them out the window. Now, watching the Guardians Holiday Special, a lot of folks were freaked out by Swole Groot's form, but now you can see it serves a practical purpose. There's just a bunch of extra limbs and branches tucked in there, ready to clutch multiple things at once. And I love how we cut to black right right as Groot shoots the camera. The title reveal translates from Kree letters to English as it illuminates. In the Comic-Con trailer, we actually saw Nebula putting up this sign, so this might be an actual sign in the movie that gets set up on nowhere. On to the final clip.
Kill anyone who gets in our way.
No, not kill anyone.
Kill a few people.
Kill no people.
Kill one guy, one stupid guy who no one loves.
Now you're just making it sad.
Yes, the one stupid guy who no one loves sounds like Herbert Wyndham. The idea that no one loves him suggests that Herbie had to create his new men because no one else would love him. Like Michael Scott wanted 100 kids so he can have 100 friends and no one can say no to being his friend. Like Mantis lecturing Drax against killing cops in the holiday special, Drax restraining himself from using deadly force will be a recurring challenge for him in this movie. I cannot wait to explore this movie on a deeper thematic level because as many of you know, that the first Guardians of the Galaxy film is my favorite MCU film. And very soon, you are about to hear about a huge new thing that New Rockstars is going to launch that makes me very excited that this film is coming in the next year. I can't say too much about it yet, but you will know soon. And I have very big plans for Guardians Volume 3 in particular. You can follow me on TikTok,
is it a new
Instagram,
shirt?
and Twitter at EABoss. Follow New Rockstars.
mug?
Subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Is it gonna be the mask? Yeah, bro. On some real shit, bro. I can't wait for this movie, man. This movie's gonna be crazy. This shit fucking crazy, man. Anyways, if you guys like my reaction, give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out, motherfuckers.